This year for Teacher Appreciation Week, I wanted to write one big letter to thank all the teachers I've had over the past 3 years. Thank you, Miss Latini and Miss D'Souza, for making math fun and teaching me that math doesn't always have to be hard. There's always a shortcut. Thank you, Mrs. Allen, Mrs. Spewak, and Mrs. Cushman for making reading and writing an experience. I have learned so much about my writing skills and had a different experience reading every book with you all. Thank you, Miss Florman, Miss Gruffer, and Mr. Chester for making science my favorite subject. Every day in your classes was an adventure, and I enjoyed every second of it. Thank you, Mr. Davis, Mr. Perry, and Mr. Muldoon for keeping me interested in history. I enjoyed our history films, Cahoots, and projects. Thank you, Miss Ochoa and Miss Amalfi for making graphic design a way to express myself and have fun while learning. Thank you, Mrs. Nyers, Miss Giraldo, Mrs. Cavallero, and Miss Menzel for getting me prepared for my future and teaching me everything about technology. Thank you, Mrs. Del Portal, Miss Cavagnero, and Mrs. Ferrero for teaching me Spanish. I may have not been the best student, but thanks to you all, I know the basics. Thank you, Mr. Monty, Mr. Holmes, and Mr. Schiaffo for fun health classes and teaching me the basics of the road. Thank you, Mr. Long and Mr. Meixner, for getting me prepared for the SATs and ACTs. Both of your classes have made me more confident in my testing skills and abilities. Thank you, Mr. Rooch, for making our short time in philosophy the best experience and teaching me it's okay to be a little loud and crazy. Thank you again, Miss Ochoa, for making yearbook a class I will never forget. I learned so much about our school and the students in it while capturing pictures for our yearbook. Thank you, Mr. Davis, Mrs. Placco, Mr. Sergio, and Mrs. Bolton for being the nicest and welcoming homeroom teachers. The first days of school have always been easy because of you all. Thank you to all the PE teachers I've had over the past 3 years. Thanks to you all, I'm staying in shape and having fun at the same time. Thank you, Mrs. Simkovich, for helping me make my schedule every year and helping me out whenever I need it. Thank you, Mr. Pace, Mr. Penko, and Mrs. Murphy for being the best principal and vice principals school could ask for. Whenever I'm at school, I always feel safe and happy because of you all. And overall, thanks to the entire staff at Colonia High School. I may not have had all of you as teachers, but you have all made my high school experience a blast. Also, thank you all for being very supportive and helpful during these tough times. I hope we can all be together again soon.